Good morning. We're just going to give this 1 minute since this is live, just in case there are any other folks that are jumping on. And we'll get started just momentarily. All right. Well, good morning from Prior Lake, Minnesota. I am Courtney Galster. I am working from my home office here in Prior Lake. Lizzie, yes, there will be a recording of this. So if you guys have questions as I'm talking, please feel free to drop them in the chat and I will reply. I'll let you know if we're going to cover that in the session, and I'll do my best to cover everybody's questions as we're chatting. I also have an ebook on everything that we're going to cover today that will also come in the follow-up email. So you'll have a whole written guide to go back and refer to, especially when we get into kind of optimizing your profile. So you don't have to live edit your profile while we're chatting, and you don't have to write everything down that we're talking about. All of this is included in the ebook, and you'll get a replay of the presentation today in your email right after this session. So that'll automatically come out from my team. But today we're talking about unlocking LinkedIn for business growth. If you know me, some of you on here are new to us and some of you know me already. I am a huge proponent of LinkedIn. It's something that we leverage pretty heavily for our clients and something that we have leveraged within our own organization. And I'm a huge proponent of other organizations, especially in service-based fields, using for the success of their company. So that is a little bit of background on what we're talking about today. I'm Courtney Galster. Again, I'm the president and founder of Amplify Companies, including Amplify Marketing. We are an award-winning digital marketing and PR firm. I've been in numerous spaces, most heavily professional services, financial firms, community banking, and healthcare and health tech. So we work kind of across a wide variety of industries, but most of them are service-based, and about 75% of the spaces that we work in are B2B. Today, we have a jam-packed agenda, a lot to talk about. I'm going to start in with the value of LinkedIn and how we've seen this work for organizations in the past. Talk a little bit about optimizing your profile and giving you kind of some of those tools that really help you stand out on LinkedIn, which is a foundational piece of your strategy. Then talk a little bit more about how you can better utilize LinkedIn's tools to expand your reach. That's a lot of the pre-submitted questions that we got were on those topics. How to post effective content, and then the best tools to automate and streamline LinkedIn growth and engagement. So I didn't get a lot of submitted questions on that topic, but we do get a lot of questions from people that we talk to about tools to automate. What about AI? Can we use these external tools to make it easier to manage LinkedIn? And we're going to dive into some of those things at the end. Again, if you have questions, drop them in the comments section, and I will incorporate them into the presentation as we go. So I always like to start with talking about why LinkedIn. When I founded Amplify, I actually did not intend to start a marketing agency. I left the firm that I worked for in 2014 to consult, and used LinkedIn as kind of the tool to start growing my personal business, and it exploded into an agency. We found about 80% of our business on LinkedIn, and the other 20% were referrals that we nurtured on LinkedIn. And we took the same strategy that I applied to my consulting work and turned that into Amplify to our clients' businesses. And we found that it was really effective. And the reason behind that is that LinkedIn is such a concentrated channel of potential connection sources. It's very business focused. People expect to see business content from you. They expect to see content that is going to help them improve what they're doing or solve challenges that they have, or find professional development resources on that platform. Because it's so concentrated, it tends to be more impactful for marketing and sales teams that are in service-based fields. It has better tools for business leaders, from the posting capabilities to the articles. You can use it like a thought leadership platform, almost like a blog on your website. It has newsletter capabilities. It has other engagement tools that we'll get into. So just the tools are generally better than other platforms like Facebook or Instagram for service-focused organizations. And then it's also a little bit slower paced. I get a lot of people that ask me about Twitter, especially right now, or I guess it's called X now. And honestly, it moves so quickly that it's very hard to make an impact without posting really, really rapidly on that platform. So that's another thing that a lot of our clients prefer about focusing on LinkedIn, is that it doesn't move as fast. You could post 2 to 3 times a week and really exceed your competitors, depending on who your competitors are. For most of our clients, posting 2 to 3 times a week is going to get them more visibility than anyone else in their area that's serving the same network of people. Whereas on a platform like X, you really need to be posting 3 to 5 times a day. So those are just some of the reasons why we really like LinkedIn. But at the end of the day, it's really built for professionals. It is structured around professional careers, professional development. It's structured in a way where you can network with people and they expect to get a sales pitch from you eventually, or they expect to have the opportunity to potentially work with you. Whereas other platforms are built for personal connection. So knowing that you're on a platform, it's not unexpected that you're going to connect with people that you don't know. That's a question I get a lot. What if I don't know them? It's okay. It's expected that you're going to want to network outside of your existing network. It gives you the ability to showcase professional achievements, whereas on other platforms, it can feel a little bit icky to share a lot of your professional accomplishments because it feels braggadocious. On LinkedIn, you're really expected to share those types of things. And so it gives you that ability to really brag on yourself a little bit, but that also kind of translates to credibility and trust with the people that know you or the people that you're connected with. And then on top of that, the biggest reason is just there's more opportunity. There's so much targeted growth that you can experience if you use LinkedIn the right way, that we really recommend for most of our clients, not every client, but most of our clients, that LinkedIn is kind of the primary platform that they build their content strategy around and they build their social media presence around, and then let those other channels that they want to be active on be kind of secondary to that. So repurpose that content on those other channels, but make sure that you're really focusing on LinkedIn. And before we kind of dive into the full scope of what we're talking about today, I just do want to preface it by saying LinkedIn isn't going to exist in a bubble for you. So LinkedIn isn't going to just organically produce a ton of business for you. It needs to be part of your greater strategy. We are doing another totally free webinar in September on the 5-tactic strategy that you can use to create a marketing plan that supports your sales process. LinkedIn being one of those tactics, but kind of how you can set up an ecosystem of growth with the right marketing tactics that play off of each other without it becoming overwhelming. So LinkedIn is amazing. It is an amazing tool. It is something that you should be utilizing every single week, but it can't exist on its own as your complete marketing plan. So what does success on LinkedIn look like? This really depends on how you're looking to grow, what industry you're in, and how much time you have. Because at the end of the day, you're going to get the most out of LinkedIn when you have time to put into LinkedIn. It, again, does not just organically work on its own. So some of our clients develop all of their business on LinkedIn. This is especially true in financial services. We see a lot of clients that are able to really niche out with who they're looking to connect with and engage with those people and build relationships with those people on LinkedIn that translate into the real world. Some of our clients just use it for credibility and visibility. The best success story that I can share with you today about that is, and I'm going to drop names here. You may or may not know this person, but we had our first linked influencer, Chris Kelly with Asset HR, who got on an airplane to go to a work conference, and someone turned to him and said, "Hey, I know you. You're Chris Kelly. I've seen all your content on LinkedIn." And now he gets recognized a lot of different places that he goes just because he has such a consistent presence on LinkedIn, and he consistently, I'm going to say that word a lot today, consistently gets out there and connects with people outside of his existing network and is really, really diligent about making that part of his day and part of his week. So some of our clients use it for credibility and visibility. Some clients use it on a much bigger scale to develop that LinkedIn influencer status. And then some of our clients use LinkedIn to supplement their other marketing efforts. And what I mean by that is we have clients that will create content for like their newsletter and then repurpose that on LinkedIn, but they're not creating specifically for LinkedIn. As we're talking through this today, I really encourage you to think about what your goals are with LinkedIn and how you want to use it, because that's going to dictate how much time you spend on LinkedIn. It's also going to dictate whether you create content specifically for LinkedIn to be shared there and then repurposed in other ways, or if you're creating content for other channels and then pulling that into your LinkedIn strategy. If your goal is to be more focused on business development, you're going to be more focused on creating your content for LinkedIn and for the people that you're connecting with. But if it's an email campaign or if it's for your website or something like that, it may be the opposite. So again, your success on LinkedIn is going to be heavily dependent on what you put into the experience of LinkedIn, which means you need to be active. Social media is meant to be a social animal. So you need to be active and liking and commenting on other people's content, which we're going to go a little deeper on in a moment. But you need to really block time on your week and be realistic with what you can give to LinkedIn, because consistency is really a huge piece of your success. If you can be consistent 2 days a week with liking and commenting on other people's content, don't push yourself to be active 5 days a week, because that consistency builds with the algorithm and it also builds with your audience. It builds trust when you are consistently active in certain ways, with posting twice a week versus posting 5 times a week. You build more trust with your audience, because if you know you can be consistent 2 days a week and you try to post 5 days a week because you feel pressure to be more active or posting more frequently, and then all of a sudden you burn yourself out and just can't create that much content and you're gone for 3 weeks, you've lost all of the traction that you've built. So it's more important to be realistic with your consistency level than trying to go above and beyond. So actionability wise, the first place we're going to start is with your personal profile. And again, this is all in the ebook that you're going to get right after this session. So don't feel like you need to jump over to LinkedIn and drop all of this information in right now. But the most important aspects of your personal profile are going to be, and there is no one perfect way to do this. So don't feel like you have to do this a certain way in order to get the right results. In reality, you just want these things to be updated. And one thing that I do recommend as we're going through this is to think about what aspects of this list you can update on a more regular basis, because sometimes that helps with your visibility to change your headline or to change your photo or to change your summary, because those updates are sent out to your audience and it gives people another reason to engage with you and see what you're posting. But a professional photo is really important. You don't want to have a personal snapshot or a selfie because it doesn't convey trust. So making sure that you have a professional photo. If you connect with me on LinkedIn, you'll see mine is actually in my house, which a lot of people don't realize. It's in my house, but a professional photographer took it. You don't have to have a professional photographer take your photo. There are tons of AI options out there. Do your research. I have played with AI platforms out there. I've seen some really good ones and some really bad ones. In fact, I can have Lucy on my team dig in and see if she can dig out the best ones that we've used. If that's something that you're interested in, let me know. Some of them are terrible. So just be careful, check the reviews before you buy a package from one of these AI photo platforms, but there are some that are really great. Actually, the best place to look for AI photo platforms is if you know local realtors, ask them if they've seen any, because realtors, for whatever reason, seem to be really in the know with AI photos. Professional headlines. So you want that headline that is on your profile to really convey what you do, because it's the first thing that people see. They see it in the feed when you post on someone else's content. They see it when you post content. So making sure that you have a headline that reflects what you do. Mine right now says fractional CMO amongst founder of Amplify Marketing, amongst other things. But that first thing that I want people to see is that I'm a fractional CMO, because that means that you can access our services if that's something that you're interested in. I might change that in a month to something different just to see if it's more eye-catching, because now people have seen that for 6 to 8 months that I've had that particular headline, and they're not seeing it anymore if they see my content a lot. So I might change that up just to get a little bit more visibility. You can also place a header photo, which is the photo at the top of your profile. You can make that anything that you want it to be. I can actually show you mine, which is just a photo of one of our brand photos. So you can really embed any photo here. You can also do something that is more branded to your company. It's not really critical that this is branded to your company unless you're doing a lot of sales outreach. But you should have something there, because if you don't have something there, it does pop up in some of your content, and it will pop up as just the LinkedIn generic photo. And so it doesn't have a great reflection on you. The more that you can create a personal brand for yourself, the better. I'm just going to move that guy back over. Customize your LinkedIn URL. So I'm actually going to bring this back over so I can show you exactly where to do this. If you are on your profile in LinkedIn and you go right over here to public profile and URL, you can click this button and it's going to give you the option to edit your custom URL. So this is the link that you use to send your LinkedIn profile to other people, or to put in your email signature, or wherever you're using it. So you can customize this. Mine is my name. I recommend making it your name, but if that's not available, especially if you have a common name, it's probably not available. You can come up with something else there, or you could add a number at the end of your name. But customizing that so that it's not your name plus a bunch of numbers is really helpful. It's also helpful if like you are going to use this a lot and you memorize your URL. You can more easily memorize it if it's your name instead of it being some random conglomeration of letters and numbers. You just save it. Super easy, super simple to do. And then you're going to want to create a personal summary. So this is just this is something that, again, you can update this a lot. But this is the summary that goes at the top of your page, which is right here in this About section. This is going to be how you write. This is going to be dependent on how you speak and how you feel. Some people really like this to be third person, and some people like it to be first person. Personally, I always recommend first person. It's not critical that it's first person, but since it's your personal profile, writing it in the first person feels a little bit more natural to someone that's reading it. Now, there are some links in the ebook that give you references for writing a profile if you struggle with that. It's hard to write about yourself. I struggle with talking about myself and writing about myself. So it can be helpful to have, some tips for that. Another place that I'm going to recommend in the automation section is using a platform. Don't use ChatGPT. That is so common right now that people want to use ChatGPT to kind of create those creative pieces for themselves, but it has a very generic sound to it. And a lot of people, especially in marketing, can tell if that is written by ChatGPT. Instead, use a paid resource like Jasper is a great option if you're looking for a AI platform that can help you be more creative with your content or improve your writing, or something like Grammarly that can also help you improve your writing. Like many of us know in the spaces that we're in, sometimes you get what you pay for, and ChatGPT is free. So if you're going to use a resource that is AI driven for creating content for you, you need something that's going to produce something that's a little bit more natural sounding. I am also going to say, don't ever let AI write your description for you, your summary for you, without editing it, because AI cannot exist in a bubble. It's not superhuman sounding. So it can give you great ideas and it can help you improve like the context of what you write, or it can help you improve the way things sound or check for grammar and spelling, but it can't exist completely on its own. So don't just trust whatever an AI platform gives you. Make sure that you read through that and read it out loud and make sure it sounds good, so that when someone's reading it about you, it sounds like you. And then you're going to just follow the prompts on LinkedIn to go through your profile and update all of these different sections. So you can add your experience, you can add any languages that you speak, which is helpful if you serve a bilingual clientele. You can list honors and awards, which is a great idea if you've won industry awards or have certifications, which again, there's a separate section for certification. So if you have gone through that testing and certification process, definitely add those to your LinkedIn profile. People can search by that. Include your volunteering and causes. So people really like, especially today, that's more important than it was even 2 years ago. People like to see that you're involved in the community. So adding the causes that you support is really important. Now, this is another place where there is no one right or wrong way to do this. I do have clients, and I have done this myself for organizations that we're more involved with. We'll actually add it to our experience section instead of adding it to, which I'll show you, instead of adding it to volunteering. So right here, I'm working with the Minnesota, on the Minnesota Committee for the Brain Cancer Research Alliance. I actually added that to my experience section as opposed to adding it to a volunteer section because it's an ongoing role that I'm pretty heavily involved with. If it was a one-time thing like volunteering with Feed Your Starving Children or once a year going out and working with Habitat for Humanity, I might add that to volunteering and causes. And then you can add your skills, which is not something that people are very likely to look at. But if you've ever been recommended on LinkedIn, it does help curate that list of things that people can recommend you for on LinkedIn. And then you can choose the order of display. So this is the order of display that I really prefer for myself and for our clients is experience, languages, awards, certifications, volunteering and causes, and then skills. But you can mix that up with whatever you're comfortable with, and you can even go in and change it. It's not one and done. You don't have to be married to that order of that list once you create it. And now we're kind of diving into the engagement section. So I'm just going to pause for a second. If you have any questions about what we just talked about with the profile or optimization, go ahead and drop those in the comments so that we can respond. Everything that we talk about next is really going to be about building that consistency within your engagement on LinkedIn and how to get more people to engage with you. So consistency is king. That's kind of the statement of everything that I say about everything with marketing. Consistency, if you can be consistent with it, it will probably be successful for you. Marketing tends to be less about the specific tactics that you choose and more about how you can be, I should preface it, there's a list of tactics that are great for most service-driven organizations, but what on that list you choose is not as important as how consistently you implement them. So just always keep that in mind as we talk through this next phase of this section. Bill asks, how important are the personal recommendations in your profile? Critical or nice to have? They are just a nice to have. I will say that the recommendations, when people endorse you for a skill, that's great because it shows that people know you for that particular skill. But those actual personal recommendations where people write out a glowing review of your services or how they've worked with you in the past, I often recommend to our clients, don't ever do that. Don't ever give those out to people. Great if someone writes it for you, but you never know what's going to happen in the future. And I have seen too many horror stories of people who have written those recommendations only for something to happen that isn't so great from a PR perspective. Like someone gets in trouble for something and then all of a sudden your name is popping up on their LinkedIn profile. You just don't know where that's going to go in the future. Or they get fired from the firm and then you feel like you have to go take it back down, or maybe you wouldn't recommend them again in 5 years. I always recommend to be really careful with who you would give those recommendations out to. If you get them, that's great, but no one is really looking for those on LinkedIn. They just kind of pop up. So that's a great question. So consistency with everything, starting with connections. This is really when we get to the fun part of LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, you've probably noticed that when someone hits 500 connections, their profile no longer lists how many connections they have. It just says 500 plus connections. So that's your base goal. If you have not gotten to 500 connections, you need to start sending out your connection requests to get yourself to that base goal level. The secondary goal is to max out your weekly connection requests because you get with a free account, this is where we come into that differentiator between the free account and the paid accounts on LinkedIn. With a free account, you get 80 connection requests a week. And with a paid account, the LinkedIn Premium, you get 160 connection requests a week. So if you have those things available to you, why not use them? Your goal on LinkedIn is to grow your network so that more people who would be potential A-list clients for you know who you are, that you build trust with them, and that they want to work with you. So you need to start working on thinking of LinkedIn as a networking platform, and you're going to grow your network. As you're thinking about this, these are the 3 most common questions that I get whenever I say this, because I have this question or I have this conversation at least once a week. But what if I don't know these people? That's okay. If you walk into a networking event and you meet someone, you're meeting them for the first time, they give you a business card and you send them an email, you don't really know them either. So don't feel like you have to know every person that you're connecting with on LinkedIn. In fact, I would encourage you to get outside of your existing network. I'm going to give you one caveat with that, and I'm actually going to pull my LinkedIn channel back up. When you go and search, so I'm just going to type in accountant into my search bar. When I'm looking for accountants to connect with, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click second degree connections. What that means is that we have connections in common. So when I go look for someone that's in accounting or is an accountant, I know that anyone that I'm looking to connect with already knows someone that I know. So it gives a little bit of trust, because when they see that connection request, they're going to say, oh, we have these folks in common. So they're probably a real person. They're not a scam artist. And that's going to make them more likely to accept. It also gives you a little bit of peace of mind that those people that you're sending those connection requests to are real people that you can trust if they do accept that and you reach out to them. The second question that I get a lot is, shouldn't I limit my network? No, you can connect with, I believe to date, it's up to 30,000 people on LinkedIn, which is a huge number. And the goal of LinkedIn is to grow your network. It's a networking platform. So you want to keep growing that network so that more people know who you are and know you and like you and want to work with you or refer to you. And how do you find the right people? This is the fun part of LinkedIn. I think it's the fun part of LinkedIn. Not everybody thinks it is. So this is where you can get a little bit creative and start looking for people that are a really great fit for your market. I'm going to show you another trick to this in just a second, but let's just start with a free LinkedIn account gives you the ability to do this searching. And I don't have LinkedIn Premium. I do sometimes have it. I'll upgrade every once in a while for a few months when I'm really actively using it. Right now, I do not. So everything that you're seeing is on a free LinkedIn account. So let's go back to our example of an accountant. So we're connecting with people. This drop down here is going to let us search by people, jobs, posts, companies, products, etc. We're going to select people. We're selecting second degree connections. We're selecting seniority, which we can't here because that is a premium feature now. Locations, let's just say Minnesota. I'm in Minnesota right now. And that's going to break this down so that I'm starting to connect with people who fit that title. But if I wanted to get a little bit more specific about who I want to work with, let's say managing partner. And we'll do the same thing. People, secondary connections, we'll put that in Minnesota. And you can even get more specific than that and go by city, although that's a little bit restrictive sometimes on LinkedIn. And you may want to go and even just search through and say, oh, I want to work with people who have worked at UHG, or I want to work with people who went to the University of Minnesota. You can select by industry, which is great. So I could say financial services, and give me a really, really drilled down list of people. When I connect with people, I only connect with people on LinkedIn who have a photo, because it means they're more likely to be active on LinkedIn and accept that connection request. And I just start going through and saying, okay, managing partner at Northwestern Mutual, that's not a great fit for me. CEO and managing partner of Sophia Fund, that is. And I always send without a note, because what we've found, we've tested both ways, sending a customized note or using the note that LinkedIn prepares, and it feels more salesy to people. When you customize the note that is sent out, it feels a lot more salesy to people, and they're less likely to accept that connection request. Dion just asked about the benefits of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. There are a lot of benefits to Sales Navigator. I have a lot of clients that use it, especially if you're in a sales role. It can be very helpful because it allows you to segment people based on who you're actively prospecting, so that you can make sure you're seeing a lot of their content, so that you know that you're liking and commenting on that person or those people's content first. It also gives you an expanded number of connection requests that you can send out each week. You can send out up to 160 connection requests with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So if you're very active on LinkedIn and you want to make sure that you can get more connection requests, that's a great option. It's pretty cost effective for that if you are actively using it every day. And then I would say the other benefit is you get that InMail, which can be helpful if you're trying to get in front of specific people. So you can send them a message that they will actually see with InMail without being connected to them. So I would only use Sales Navigator or LinkedIn Premium if I was using LinkedIn every single day and I was actively using it to prospect. Tambra asks, did you just say send a connection without a note? Yes, send a connection without a personalized note, unless you actually know the person, because anyone that sees a personalized note that you don't know personally is going to feel that it's more salesy, and they're less likely to accept the connection request. So that's what I do is I would roll through, and that's what our team does actually for a lot of our clients, is we'll go through and find people that fit their target A-list prospect, and we'll send them connection requests. After they accept your connection request, you can send them a message. Don't send it within 24 hours of them accepting your request. And that is something that we're going to talk a little bit more about with the automation tools, because there are automation tools that will do messaging for you on LinkedIn. I don't recommend them. But a lot of those tools will send out that message immediately after someone accepts your connection request. And for most people, that is a total turnoff, because LinkedIn is meant to be a platform to build relationships on and build trust and credibility. And when you turn it into an immediate attempt to sell, it's a total turnoff to people. So don't send a message to connect for coffee or to connect for a call or anything like that until at least 24 hours. I would recommend a week, but at least 24 hours after they've accepted your connection request. So, okay, so any other questions on building connections? This is something that you should be doing. I don't recommend, if you have the 80 connection requests a week with the free account, I would split that up into a couple of opportunities throughout the week. So send 40 on Monday and 40 on Thursday, or send 30 on Monday, 30 on Wednesday, and maybe 10 to 20 on Friday, depending on if you're, using some of those for personal connections with people that you meet at in-person networking events. Again, with the 160, if you have LinkedIn Premium, split that up. So you're going on a couple times a week to send those connection requests out, so that you're not bombarding the LinkedIn system and flagging yourself as someone that's just an over-connector. All right, so the next step, now that we've built our network, or we're actively building our network, is to be social on social media. LinkedIn is meant to be a relationship builder. So whether you meet someone in person or you meet them on LinkedIn, you need to start working towards building a relationship with them, which means you need to get active and be social. I had a lot of submitted questions about this. The biggest one was about engagement. And the piece of engagement is you have to give engagement to get engagement. So if you are looking for people to engage on your content, you need to engage on their content. And that doesn't mean go out to specific people that you want to see your content and like and comment on their stuff, although that can be helpful if you're prospecting those companies. What you want is to just go through your feed every 2 to 3 days and like and comment on other people's content. Again, the LinkedIn feed moves a lot slower than other channels. So you're not going to see everyone in your network posting new content every single day. You don't need to be active on LinkedIn in the same way that you need to be active on Facebook or Instagram to see all of the content that's out there. You just need to be on a couple times a week for maybe 20 to 30 minutes to like and comment on other people's content. So this does a couple of different things for you. One, giving a like or giving a comment to the person that's receiving that, they feel like that's like a big hug through a computer. So it gives them a boost. It makes them feel like you actually care about them. And so that's great, especially if those people are in your sphere and they're an active client or they're a prospect or they're a referral source. Or they're just someone in your sphere. It also gives you more visibility. So when you comment on someone else's post, their network is seeing that. And now all of a sudden you're being exposed to a bunch of people that don't know you, but would be potential clients for you or customers for you, because obviously if this person is important to your sphere, the people they know have a high likelihood of being important to your sphere. So they see that, and then they start to build some brand recognition with your name and what you do. And then the third part of that is that liking and commenting on other people's content helps build you up in the algorithm. Just like other social media channels, you've probably heard ad nauseum about the TikTok algorithm and how it works. LinkedIn has its own algorithm, and the more that you engage with other people's content, the more your content is seen. So making sure that you're getting out there and and getting active on other people's content is actually a more important place for you to start than posting your own content. Your content will always be more successful when you're engaging with other people's content. The second phase of visibility is creating your own content, which is hard. I know it's hard. It's the hardest part of being active on social media, because you are going to get nervous, especially if you haven't posted a lot. It's nerve-wracking to post content. It's hard to constantly come up with new ideas. It can feel like you're posting things that people don't care about. But in reality, creating content is about consistency, and it's about keeping your message consistently in front of the right people who already know you or you'd like to know you better. So how often do you need to post? This is a great question. What do I need to post? We're going to dive into that. And what if I can't think of something to post? That's the hardest one. And that's where a lot of people get off track. How often do you need to post? At least twice a week. That sounds like a lot. I know that it sounds like a lot. It doesn't have to be as hard as you're thinking, but you also don't have to post 5 times a week. So that's, it's hard to post 2 times a week. It's a lot harder to post 5 times a week. I have clients that post 5 times a week. It does not get them more traction than the clients that post 2 times a week. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to be posting your own content every single day. Consistency is more important than quantity. So again, that comes back to, if you try to post every single day and you're used to never posting at all, you're not going to build any traction, because you're going to burn out at that speed of posting. It is so hard to create content at that speed if you're not used to creating content. So start by posting 1 day a week and get consistent with posting 1 day a week, and work your way up to 2 days a week. If you feel like you can stretch yourself and get to 3 days a week, that's awesome. But you don't have to post 3 times a week. You can keep that right at that 2 times a week. What do you post? This is less hard when you have a plan. So I always recommend that before you start creating any content to share, you think about what you want to be known as. What do you want to be known for? And these will then become your content pillars. I recommend having 3 to 4 different content pillars that you can post content around. And I've put a ton of different ideas on this page. So you can post about tips and hacks as a leader in your industry. You can talk about common challenges your clients face and what the solutions to those are. You can share personal photos from your week or from your office. Some people are very uncomfortable sharing anything personal, like truly personal, on LinkedIn. That's okay. If you want to share that content, that's great. Posting personal content sporadically is totally appropriate on LinkedIn. It should not be the only thing that you post, because again, it's a professional network, but it can help you build more trust because people get to know you behind the scenes. But some people are not comfortable with that, and that's okay. You can post behind the scenes content from your office of things that your team is doing, or maybe you bring lunch in every Friday, or maybe you guys go out and send, cupcakes to clients, and you want to take photos of that and share it. Anything that's going to kind of get you some personal photos that you can share behind the scenes is great. Testimonials from clients and past customers. We always recommend that whenever you get testimonials from clients and past customers, you put them into a design, like just in Canva, if you're familiar with that, and that you use those and you can reuse those. That's not a one and done thing. You can take those and repost them down the road. You could put them on like a 90-day cycle. People don't typically remember exactly what you have in your testimonial. So as long as you're not constantly sharing the same one, you can definitely reuse those. Short success stories are also great. So that kind of plays on that common challenges your clients face, just talking about how you've helped your clients solve challenges that they have, because that gives other people something to relate to, especially if they're facing the same challenge. Interesting stats, that could be something about your industry. It could be something from your clients. It could be something that you get through a news publication that is really widely followed in your industry, really anything that you can think of there. Kind of dipping back on that volunteer work, people really like to see that you're philanthropic. They like to see that you're active in the communities that you serve. And so sharing photos of that, things that you do or your employees do or things that your team does, those are great ways to get some additional personal content out there. And if that's something you do regularly, that's a great content pillar for you. Professional development, that is a huge topic right now. I think that most people want to know what on the job training looks like. This is super important if you are in a field that changes really rapidly. It's also really important if you recruit a lot of people, that to show that your organization has a lot of professional development opportunities. And then obviously thought leadership. So any articles you've written or upcoming speaking engagements or snippets of videos, any of that kind of stuff is great. If you have webinars coming up, all of that is great content to share on LinkedIn. So the first step before we kind of dive into how to figure out what you're going to post each week is to kind of figure out what those content pillars are. What type of content can you think of from the past couple of weeks that would be a great fit for LinkedIn? One way to do this really, really well is to look at your calendar from the last couple of weeks. So go back and look and see what you did over the last couple of weeks. Who did you talk to? What meetings did you go to? What conversations did you have? And then try to think of things that came out of that, like tips that you gave to someone that you met with, or conversations that you have, and maybe you can generalize that to talk about a challenge that a client was having and what that looked like. That can really help jog your memory and help you come up with different ideas for content to post. The only thing that you really need to create this volume of content is to try to do it once a week or once a month. So if you can create content in bulk, you are going to feel a lot better about what you're posting because you're not constantly trying to come up with content on the fly. And one of the simplest ways to do this is to take a spreadsheet, write down all of your content pillars on that spreadsheet, and then start thinking about how you want to spread that out. So we can make one even right live on the call, and I can share this with you after the session. Let's see here. I'll pull this over here. And this is exactly how we plan content for most of our clients. So we might have one tab that we name content pillars, and we come up with all these different options. And maybe it's philanthropy, maybe it's articles, and we know that you have 2 blogs a month that you're posting, so we can repurpose that. Maybe it's tips, and we'll do 2 of those a month. Maybe it's, let's see, what else can we post? A testimonial, and so on and so forth. And then maybe it's client challenge, and then success stories. So we've got all of these different topics that we can pull from. That's 6 different content pillars that we can pull from. A lot of this is thought leadership. So we're definitely going to want to make sure that we get some personal content in there too. But then I'm just going to create a tab and say, okay, we have to create content for these weeks. So this is kind of cool. If you just put 8/1 or 8/15, you can create a drop down in Google Sheets, which is really nice if you're content planning. Just a little hack that I learned recently. So we want to create for the first week of September, And we want 2 posts to go out a week. So we'll just number them like that. And we'll change this to the following week, and we'll just plan our content out for the month of September. And this is honestly, this is the easiest way to plan your content and hold yourself accountable and make sure that you have enough content going out and that you're being consistent with the content that's going out. So there we go. We have our whole month of September lined out, and now we have our content pillars that we're going to pull over. And what I would recommend is just literally going through your calendar and seeing what philanthropic events you have coming up that you can post on. So maybe you have a golf tournament the first week of September, and that could fill in right here. And maybe you are, let's see, you have 2 articles. So we're going to fill in, we'll reshare an article here. And then 2 weeks later, we'll do the same thing. So you can see how easy this is to start filling in what you're going to share. And then you just have to actually create the content, which I'm not going to go into like creating the content exactly on this call. That'll be very boring. But this is how you can start to build out a actual calendar for yourself. If you want a copy of this, I can send this out after the live event. So that makes it easier. And if you can just consistently look at that, make sure you're working at least 2 weeks ahead so that you can have that content scheduled. I will show you how to schedule content so you don't have to go in and even post it live. That's really, really helpful so that you're not scrambling at the last minute, feeling like you have nothing to post and then not posting anything, which then kind of sets off this domino effect where you're not posting anything at all. And it's really hard to get back to a point where you are posting consistently once you've fallen off the horse. So the other piece of posting content, besides coming up with ideas and writing the captions, is coming up with visuals. And this is always the hardest part of content because most of us are not graphic designers. We want our content to look professional, but we don't know where to start, how to start. What do we do? The first thing that I will tell you is that photos are always the best thing. They're always going to perform the best. And they are, by and large, anything that has people in it is going to be the most engaging for people. You're going to get the most likes. You're going to get the most comments on anything that you have a photo on. So even if you have a repository of photos, like maybe you go through Adobe Stock and you find a bunch of photos that feel like they're on brand for your company. Yes, you pay for them, but again, like sometimes you get what you pay for. The quality of photos is going to be a lot better on a platform where you're paying for them. That can be a great way to just build a repository that you can use as photos that goes out with your content. That's a really great place to start if you're just starting to post regular content. The second thing that you can do, and this is something that we do for a lot of our clients, is we create custom graphic templates. So this is something that you do in Canva. There's lots of pre-created templates within Canva that you can use and customize with your own logo and your brand colors and things like that. That's another really great place to start. And all you need is 6 or 7 templates that you can cycle through. You don't have to constantly come up with new designs and new content visuals on Canva. You can change out the photos and the captions within the graphics and reuse those over and over again. And then the third thing is short videos. So this is probably more of an advanced strategy. If you're not super comfortable creating content, this is probably something to look at in 2025, but video performs really, really well on any social media channel. And anytime that you can get video is it's a great way to engage because people know that it's actually you behind the screen. It's not just content that's being posted on your behalf. So a lot of times what we do for clients is we'll say you have this webinar coming up. So do the webinar and then let's take the webinar and split it up into clips that we can take and repurpose as little social media shorts. So you know what little TikTok 30-second videos look like or Instagram 30-second videos look like. It's the same thing, but it's on a professional level. It's taking that professional content that you already have created. So you're not creating something specific for this post. You're repurposing something that you already have. So if you have webinars coming up or you have videos that your company is creating, you can take those and split them up and use them as visuals for your content on social media. If you think that it would be helpful to you, so our goal this year is to kind of expand the free content that we're putting out there, helping companies like everybody on this call do better marketing without having to pay a marketing agency to do it for you. If it would be helpful to you to have a session where I bring Lucy, one of our designers, on to show you how to use Canva, or show you how to do some of this video editing to crop videos into shorter segments, please send me an email. My email is Courtney@amplifyup.com. Let me know if that would be helpful to you, because I will schedule that for September if there are enough people that are interested in it. So that is what you can post as your visual. And then we're kind of coming back to, now that I'm posting this content, how can I get more engagement on my posts? This is, I think, 3 different people submitted this specific question. So engagement comes from, again, like everything that we're doing. It's not this standalone thing where all of a sudden you're posting and you're going to get engagement. You have people that know, like, and trust you, and they're always going to engage on your content. Those are like your super fans, right? But getting people outside of that to like and comment on your posts is actually more about consistency with everything that you're doing than the actual content that you're posting. If you are consistently getting out there and liking and commenting on people's posts, you are going to be more likely to get likes and comments in return. Not necessarily from those same people, but you are more likely to get those in general. If you are posting consistently, you're building trust, and people are starting to see other people engage on your content, it encourages them to engage on future content as well. And then the other piece of that is posting things that are engaging. So making sure that you are kind of diving into more of that personal content, incorporating that into your content strategy, making that a regular part of your content strategy. That personal content is what converts people. So it converts them from window shoppers to actual engagers, where they're going to like and comment on your posts. Once they like and comment, they start seeing more of your content in the future. So it creates this domino effect for you. That's kind of like a 10,000-foot view of how that works, but I hope that's really helpful, because I know that's kind of a burning question people have. All right, we are running up on time, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about these tools. But again, if you have questions, drop them in the comments. I'm happy to work them in. I have a few minutes, so I can stay if there are extra questions here. So let's talk a little bit about tools that make this a little easier. 1, planning your content, use Google Sheets. The reason why we recommend Google Sheets is because it's free. So it's a very low cost piece of your social media strategy. And it's something that you can share amongst your team members and have one version that everyone's working off of and adding content to and adding edits to. So you basically make sure that you're not losing renditions of a static file when it's saved on your server. So like if you have an Excel document, 2 people might have that open at the same time, and someone might save over someone else's edits, which is not a fun situation to be in. So use Google Sheets because it's a live edit and it's easier to share. The second thing to look at is scheduling content. I'm going to pull up LinkedIn again. You can schedule content directly on LinkedIn. And honestly, that is a great tool for folks to use. It's not hard to use, and it's something that is relatively new but very effective. So you can post anything within here. I can just say test post and click this little schedule for later button. This is available on personal profiles and business profiles. It is also available in articles, which is the blog post content. And you can literally choose any date in the future, any time of day, and this content will get scheduled for you. So why is this helpful? You don't have to live post anymore. If you're going on vacation, you can still have posts going out just like you were at home, but not have to put any work or effort into it while you're on the road. So this is excellent for scheduling content and building that consistency, so you don't have to be thinking about it every single day when you're sitting at your computer. You can sit down and bulk create content, schedule it, and be done with it until the next time that pops up on your calendar. So that is one tool. The second, we use Sprout Social. We've used pretty much every scheduling tool out there. We've used Hootsuite, Buffer, Tailwind, probably so many more that I can't even think of. We try them all just to see what's out there. And Sprout Social is a very expensive social scheduling platform. The value of it is that it tells you when your audience is most active. So if you are very concerned about your content getting in front of the right people at the right time, a platform like Sprout Social, there's others out there. Buffer has some of that capability, I believe, as well, and it's a little less expensive. But tools like that are going to give you the most insight into when people are engaging, and it constantly updates. The other thing we really like about Sprout is that if you have multiple people that need to approve content before it goes live, you can set that up within the platform so that those approvals automatically go to the right people. The next place, Canva, is what we use for graphics creation. We rarely use Adobe, and we're an agency. So I will tell you, Canva has great tools. The pro version of Canva is very inexpensive. I think it's maybe $15 a month. And you can get a lot of value out of that platform. They have tons of tutorials. They have tons of templates. It's a really, truly a revolutionary product for design. And it's not hard to use. It's drag and drop. So it's not hard to use like Adobe is. For help with creating and editing content, we talked a little bit about this with ChatGPT being such a huge tool that people love. Don't use ChatGPT because you can tell that it's ChatGPT. Instead, use a tool like Grammarly, use a tool like Jasper, use something that you pay for. And always, always remember, AI does not exist in a bubble. So AI cannot create your content for you without a lot of oversight. It can give you ideas for content. It can give you improvements to content that you already have, but don't let it exist in a bubble for you because it will not end well. And then help with finding the right people to connect with. So this is kind of a cool tool that I recommend, especially if you're in a sales role. It's Apollo.io. It's very similar to ZoomInfo if you are familiar with that platform. But the thing about Apollo is that it's built with LinkedIn data. And so with your account, you're going to be able to go directly to right off of the platform. You can click right through to everybody's LinkedIn page and connect with them. It's really accurate. We do still recommend, if you're going to use that for email information, that you run those email lists through a cleaning service before you use them. But it is very accurate. It's more accurate than other platforms that we've used in the past. And the connection to LinkedIn is just absolutely incredible. So if you are using LinkedIn for business development, that might be something that you want to look at. I believe they have a free account if you're just using that LinkedIn functionality, which is kind of cool. If you guys have additional questions, again, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'm happy to answer them. My email and my team's email are on the screen. I already have this set up to send you my ebook after the call ends so that you can get that full guide to optimizing your profile, sending out those connection requests, how to find the right people, what type of content to post. It will also include a replay link to everything that we just talked about. Our next webinar is September 11th. We are talking about that 5-tactic marketing plan that's going to support your sales process. So feel free to sign up for that. There will be a link in the email you get. Feel free to invite a colleague. We're happy to have them join us. And if you need help with graphics templates, feel free to reach out and I can connect you with my team. Camilla, would taking all of these actions from our business account have the same impact as doing them from a personal account? No, it will not. As you will see with other social platforms, having a business account is important, but it does not supersede the effectiveness of a personal account. So I would recommend that you create kind of a group approach to connecting with people and liking and commenting on their posts, especially if you have a targeted list of folks that you're trying to engage with. Your company page can help, but people are always, since it's a relationship-based approach to sales and business development and marketing, the personal connection is really key. So having people on your team that are connecting with other people is always going to be more effective than having them connect with a company. I know that can be kind of hard, especially if you have, people are not forever. So if you invest time and energy or even dollars into developing a salesperson's LinkedIn connection list, you may be looking at starting from scratch when they leave or if they leave. But there are some tools that you can use to remedy that. Like you could have them export their LinkedIn connections every so often, or you could have multiple people looking to connect with the same list of folks. But unfortunately, the business accounts just aren't as effective as the personal ones. That's a great question. I'll hang out for another couple minutes in case anybody has questions, but if not, thank you so much for joining us today. This was live. We usually do a lot of our webinars pre-recorded, so I really appreciate you guys hanging in with me as we talk through this. I know I stumbled a couple times, but I think, this is fun to do. So hopefully we can do a lot more of this as we get back to school and my kids are, not home in the middle of the summer workday. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day.